Okay, this is the second in a series of videos where we investigate the square root by hand. So today we're going to do the square root of 3, and eventually we're going to learn today also the square root of 5. The reason why we learn the square root of 3 is because the square root of 3 over 2 is an important ratio, it being the cosine of 30 or the sine of 60, and 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2, or better said, the average of the square root of 5 and 1 is equal to the golden ratio. So earlier we looked, of course, at the square root of 2, and we learned that, of course, it was 1.414 dot 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 going out. These, of course, are your radicals, and someone mentioned to me the other day, when will I ever need to know radicals? Every day of your life in some way, shape, or form. In other words, you're going to carry them around, but every now and then you want to understand and simplify them and understand what their value is. So let's try this again this time. What we're going to do is we're going to add always 2 zeros at a time and bring them down. We're going to start with what number times itself is less than 3. That answer is 1. That becomes 1 times 1. You're left with 2, 0, 0. You double the 1 and you say 2 blank. 2 blank times blank is less than 200. 5, 6. Is it 6? 26 times 6, 27, I think, will get us under the thing. So it's going to be 1.7. You put a 7 here and a 7 there. 7 times 27 is 49. 14. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 4 is 18. We now subtract out. We have 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 8 is 1. Of course, that becomes 0 here. You now bring down a double set of double zeros. You take this 17 and you double it and you say 34 blank times blank is less than 1100. If that was 4, that would not work, so it becomes 3. You put the 3 here and the 3 there. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times 3 is 9. Plus 1 more is 10. You're left here going quicker this time. 7, 1. Bring down another set of double zeros. Double to 173. Which is 346 blank. And this, of course, is going to be obviously 2, and we are now going to check that with our calculator. So in our calculator, you learn to hit 3, the caret, and then 0.5, and we get 1.732. So we have, in fact, something that we probably knew anyway, because you know that the square root of 3 over 2 very quickly by rote is 0.866, which looks pretty close to that. In my calculator, 0.866, clear 0.866 times 2 equals 1.732. Let's move on. Let's try a little bit of an erase here so we can kind of erase this one out. We don't really want to look at that one. And within the time, one more time, we'll go through a square root. We'll use bigger numbers later, but understand if in fact you can get not only to memory, but you can get the square root of 2 down and the square root of 3 and then the square root of 5. You've got the math and you have the art. Square root of 5, how are we going to do that? We're going to always dot 0, 0, bring 2 zeros at a time. What number times itself is less than 5? 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 1, double 0, bring the double zeros down. And then, of course, we say 2 blank times what is less than 100? And we're looking at 2 times 5, 5 times 25, times 4, and we're looking at 4, 4 here, 4 times 24. This is looking a little similar to something else we did before, is 96. 96 is, of course, 100. 96 is going to be 4 here. You bring down double zeros, you double the 24, and you get 48 blank times what? Equals 400. 482. It looks like it would be 0, right? 48 is not going to go into 40. Even 1 won't work here. So we're going to look at 0. 0 times 48 is 0, and so we've got 400, and then a double set of zeros. We're going to take the 240 and now make it 580 with a blank there. 580 times what? I'm going to cheat on this one, and I'm going to tell you I'm going to take 4,000 divided by 581 is 68 points. So we're going to kind of play around with this number here until we get something that will make this, if we made this 9, that would be about 58,000. So 8 is not going to work. Maybe 7 will work. Let's try 7 here. We put a 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Carry my 4. 7 times 8 is 56. There it is. 7 times 5 is there. So we know it's not that. It's going to be 6. So we're going to leave it at that. 2.406. And now we're going to try it. We're going to take 5 to the power 0.5. And we got 2.236, and we're going to see where we got that wrong. So let's see where we miscalculated here. So when I did my calculator, 2.236 is the square root of 5, and so the 2 was right. 2 times 2 is 4. 1, you brought 0, 0 down. You put the double. The problem I did here was not doubling this, so this should not have been 24. It should be 4 and blank. So I forgot the double there. So 4 and blank becomes 2 here, and that's how we end up with the correct answer of 2.236. So what we have to remember, 2.236, we have to remember that we always end up, if you notice here, we double that 1 to be 2. We needed that double that 2 to be 4 here, and all the way down the like. And so you then learn very quickly, believe it or not, you probably don't even learn these radicals as they are. You learn by rote and memory. You do learn the square root of 2 equals over 2 is 0.707. You know that. You very quickly know the square root of 3 over 2 is 0.866. And later on you're going to see you learn that this 1 plus the square root of 5 over 2 is equal to the golden ratio of about 1.618 or thereabouts. So though you don't want to lose per se, at least in terms of being able to relearn how to do a square root the old-fashioned way. So we have now looked at finally going ahead, and I'm just going to do File, New, and erase the whole thing. Save yes, I'll save that out. Saving to a file name, 2 square root. Let's look at very quickly how we would do this for a larger number. So let's do something that we kind of know a little bit about, which would maybe 630. The square root is 630, and if many of you should recognize 625 being the square of 25, so we know this is going to be a little bit more than 25. So what we're going to do is we're going to always go with the extra zeros, and so we're going to take that 6. 2 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. We got the 2 here. We're going to double the 2. We're going to bring down the 3, 0, and we're going to bring down double 4 blank. 4 blank times what? Obviously we already know 5. 5 times 25. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry my 2 is 225. Obviously we're going to now bring 5, 0, 0. And we're going to double that to be 50 blank. And so we have 50 blank times blank. If we put 1 here, that doesn't work, so we're going to put 0 here. 0 times 50 is 0, so we're going to go ahead now and bring 5, 0, 0. And we're going to bring down another set of zeros, and now we're going to double that and go with double the 250 to be 500 blank. 500 blank, if we multiply by 9, 5009 times 9. 9 times 5 would probably work, so we'll try that. 9 times 9 is 81, carry my 8. 9 times 9 is 81. We got a 0. And then we got 9 times 3 is 45. So we get something like 25.09, and it goes on. We'll check that with our calculator. 630 square root of to the 0.5 power, 25.10. So I kind of blew that calculation right in here someplace. So we'll look at that again. When I put 1 here, let's see what I did here. 2 times 2 is 4. I take the 2, double it, I get 45. Right, 230, 2500. Obviously, 1 should have easily worked here, so I should have been able to do 25.1. So that's square roots by hand the last time.